Thank you. Thank you. And now I'd like to invite Bill Taylor forward for his stewardship message. Bill, for those of you who may not know, is a member of our vestry and has been at the church about 2.5 years. We coincided in arriving together. And thank you so much for being willing to talk to us this morning.
Morning, everybody.
Morning.
It's an honor and privilege to be able to speak with you this morning. As Allison said, Jennifer and I have been coming here for about a little over 2 years, and we have felt so welcomed and so blessed to be here. I am what is known as a cradle Episcopalian. My father was an Episcopal priest. I went to an Episcopal college. I went to Yale Divinity School, which is to say that I also went to Berkeley Divinity School, which is the Episcopal seminary at Yale Divinity School. And for 34 years, I have worked in schools. I decided when I was at seminary that I was going to pursue education as a vocational ministry. And so I've been working in schools for 34 years, and I've worked at only 2 different schools, and both of them were Episcopal schools. Which is also to say that I go to chapel about 4 times a week for 34 years. So that last hymn we sang, I knew all the words because we sing it often. Episcopal schools are wonderful places. They are places that see students as children of God with their own distinctive gifts and talents. But I'm not here to talk about Episcopal schools. I'm here to talk about grace and why it's so important that Jennifer and I are here and why we value supporting Grace Church financially. To get a better idea of that, I need to share a short story with you that happened about 35 years ago when we were living in New Haven, when I was at Yale Divinity School, and Jennifer was commuting from New Haven to Stamford. We lived on the Yale Divinity School campus, which is at the top of a pretty steep hill. And Jennifer was traveling to Stamford, which meant that I dropped her off at the station, the railroad station, every morning at around 6. And then came back to campus, and I was able to then go to the Berkeley Chapel, Berkeley Seminary Chapel, for chapel every morning at 7:30. And I would pick Jennifer up at 6 o'clock at night. And one time I picked her up in February. It was snowing rather heavily, and we came back up to climb the hill to where our apartment was, and noticed that there were cars that were just spinning their tires because they couldn't get up the hill. And so we parked the car, and we got out of the car, and we helped push cars up the hill. And then as all the cars got up the hill, we got back into our car, and our car couldn't get up the hill. So we parked it right on the side street that happened to be across the street from Berkeley Divinity School. And so the next morning we went down to try to extricate the car from the snow. There was about 6 inches of snow, and being a newly married couple, we certainly didn't have a snow shovel. That was not one of the things that you prioritized in your spending. But we had a cardboard box in the back of the car and proceeded to try to shovel the car out with a cardboard box. And it was wet, heavy snow, and that didn't last very long. So half hour led to an hour, led to a half hour, hour and a half, and it's getting near 7:30, and we're still shoveling the car out. And around 7:30 in the morning, all of sort of my classmates started showing up to go to chapel. And they would walk by us underneath the car trying to get snow out. And the dean, associate dean, also walked by, and they all went into chapel at 7:30, leaving us to continue to shovel the car out. And sort of thought for a moment, I said, these are future ministers who it was more important to them to go to chapel than to do chapel. And that stuck with me. And I learned a very important thing that day, that it's important to walk the talk, not just talk the talk. And that's why we're at Grace. We're at Grace because Grace makes a difference in this community. Grace's outreach to the larger community walks the talk. And we want to be at a place, and we have found a place, where we are with people who do chapel, who walk the talk. And that's why it's important to us that we support Grace financially. The gospel reminds us that He is a God not of the dead, but of the living. And we are called to spread the good news. And we do that with our voices, but we do that with our actions and our deeds. And I'm so grateful to be at Grace Church because of the great work that it does in the larger community and the lives that it touches and helps. So thank you for doing your part.